Hi everyone, Janet McMorty here. Before we get to this week's episode, I want to say a big thank you to this week's episode's sponsor. They were also last week's episode's sponsor, the Simcoe County Theater Festival. Oh, everyone, you know how much this theater festival means to me. I was very lucky to be in this theater festival last year and the year before. Sadly, I won't be in the festival this year because I'm going to a little known event in Paris called the Olympics, but I will definitely be going to see every single show I can get my hands on at this theater festival because I love the people at Theater by the Bay so much. All right, here we go. Experience the 3rd annual Simcoe County Theater Festival in downtown Barrie, powered by Theater by the Bay. Oh, you know how much I love the people at Theater by the Bay. Oh my goodness. This year's festival features 7 new shows by local Simcoe County artists. We've got a play for every taste, including a children's opera, a contemporary jazz dance piece, comedies, dramas, and so much more. Running July 10th to the 21st at the 5 Points Theater in Barrie. Join us for the Festival of the Summer and get tickets at theaterbythebay.com or call 705-735-9243. Once again, that's July 10th to the 21st at the 5 Points in Barrie. Yes, Toronto people, it is in Barrie, and I know Barrie seems like a universe away, but it's not that far. It's up the 400 highway, yes, but there's also a GO train you can take literally right to the theater, pretty much. And I know a lot of you wonderful listeners came up to see my show at the festival last summer, so you know it's not that far. I hope you will consider supporting indie theater and supporting the festival again this year. I know I will. All right, on with the show. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Second Act Actors. I'm your host, Dr. Janet McMorty, and I'm still a medical doctor, simultaneously trying to pursue a career in acting. Happy Heat Dome, everybody. If you live on the east coast of Canada, or I should say, I guess we're in central Canada. If you're on the eastern side of the United States, it is so dang hot right now. If you're watching on YouTube, you will see I am a sweaty girl. But more importantly, happy Pride, everybody. It is almost the end of Pride Month. And that means the Toronto Pride Parade is coming up. It's on Sunday. If you're in the Toronto area, I hope to see you out. I will be marching in the parade with the LGBTQ2+ doctors and allies group. If you see me in the parade, make sure you say hi, screech, do all the exciting things so I can see you. That would be wonderful. If you're not in the Toronto area, make sure you check out your local community Pride events. There are always tons of stuff going on in this final weekend of Pride Month, so enjoy it, bring out your rainbow colors, and have the best time being the wonderful allies I know you all are. This week's episode is a very special one. My friend Melissa Melottey joins us. Melissa is an actor and a writer. She has a really interesting story. She started out as a child actor, and you'll hear all about her time as a child actress model as well too. She's triple threat, basically. She and I have this really interesting conversation that touches on a lot of aspects of what being a child actor is. But something that really struck me about this conversation that I loved is, as you all know, most people's advice when it's like, how do you get into acting? Should I become an actor later in life? I don't know if I like this. Is take classes. Take as many acting classes as you possibly can. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I love acting classes. They're so much fun. Take a ton of them. I love learning things. But Melissa talks about the idea of acting class burnout. Is that a thing? And it obviously 100% is, because she experienced it. Can you take too many acting classes, so much so that you begin to resent it? Because as we know in acting, what you put in financially, emotionally, physically, mentally, everything is not what you get out of this ridiculous career that we love. Melissa is incredible. She and I have been friends for a while. We met doing background together, and then you'll hear at the beginning of our episode, we met doing background, and then we kept in touch because we both really learned, oh, you're a cool person. As she was a very cool person. And then I logged on to a Zoom acting class, and up comes her face. She's in my Zoom acting class. We're like, oh my God, Melissa Melottey. We met doing background, and we've just kept in touch ever since. She's such a gem. Please enjoy my beautiful friend, Melissa Melottey. It's so good to see you, girl. Holy.
So good to see you. I know. I always feel so happy to be chatting with you always. So.
Likewise. Yes. I was thinking about it today. I was like, because somebody asked me, so I was with my producing partner, Madeline, who I met doing background, and the director of my first short film, Hannah, yesterday, and we were like doing all the final submission things for a film festival that we entered, but just due today. So we were like all sitting around my house, being all like, ugh. And Hannah asked, she's like, "So how, Janet, how did you get started in the acting business?"
Mhm.
And I was like, it was, doing background. I did it as a Hallmark movie, and Alice did it. They're like, "Do you know Melissa Melottey?" And they're like, "That name sounds familiar." I was like, "That's where I met her."
Right
And
before COVID and right before the
right,
world shut down.
it was literally like weeks before, days
Yeah.
even.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy. I just remember being in like that was my first like almost like I think my first ever that I can recall. Maybe I did a little bit of stuff
Wow.
when I was a kid, but like first ever real like background moment. Alliston, Ontario.
I don't think, you know what? I don't know if I knew that. You might have told me, but I just remember us connecting so much on set.
Mm,
And then when I saw you later on in the year in at Dean's class at
yes.
Armstrong's, I was just so happy. Like it
Oh
was
my
just
god.
so nice to see you because I just remember, yeah, you just stood out to me from that day. And yeah,
Oh.
and then we got to do our scene together and it was so fun.
Oh, it's so funny because I think about that scene. What one? I think about that moment of logging onto that Zoom class and seeing your face and being like, so happy. Oh my
Same.
gosh, for the same reason. Like you were just such a joy. And then doing that scene with you, I was just watching the show from Children Ruin Everything. And I was watching like little things like I was like, I remember doing this scene with Melissa.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. That's funny. I haven't seen Children and everything. I've heard of it, but and
Oh,
obviously
yeah.
worked on the scene.
Yeah, because we did that scene together. I just remember you read for me, but then yeah, there was
Yeah.
another scene that you and I did together that was really funny.
It was actually from Nina Dobrev's Christmas movie. I'm forgetting what it was called,
Yes,
but it was
that's
the
right.
when she was walking with her friend. It was really funny.
It was really funny. That wasn't
Yeah.
that Affleck one? Was that
Yes.
Affleck?
Yes.
Oh
Yes.
wow, it's taking me
I think
back.
that was it. Yeah.
Good times, good times. Oh, well, yeah. Tell me your story. How did you get started in this crazy business?
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, it actually all started with modeling. LOL. So, when I was really young, I got approached in like the shopping mall as that used to happen to everybody back in the day, apparently. I'm hearing that this is a very common story, but I got approached in a shopping mall from Sutherland Models, and they highly encouraged my mom to just, I don't know, guess get me into modeling slash acting. And I had already been interested in singing, acting, and dancing since I was like really, really young. I had been singing and dancing and acting in different like classes, or I was yeah, I was in competitive dances since I was like 4. So really, really young, but I had never had any opportunity to get into it. And so my mom said yes. And I started modeling at, I think I was maybe 8 or 9. So that was that was kind of my first job. And I was the Zeller's kid. I was like in all the Zeller's flyers.
Oh my god.
So funny. And on the posters, like holding shoes and just doing all the cute Zeller kids things. And yeah, that was kind of my first gig. And then from that, I ended up participating in a local theater show called Shark, and my kid agent it was Rhonda Cooper from The Characters. I don't believe she's still an agent anymore. I think she maybe retired, but in any case, yeah, that's how she saw me, and then I started acting from there. And yeah, and so I have obviously a different journey than a lot of people probably that have come on the show. So a lot of people acting is their second act, right? So yeah, I would say acting, I would group it with singing and dancing. As a kid, I used to say, I'm not just an actor, I'm a singer, actor, dancer. And I just like the goal was triple threat. I wanted to do all three. And so I couldn't ever separate them. I couldn't choose. It was just, they were all one profession. And so yeah, I would say that was my, first act. However, I went to art school and Wexford School for the Arts in high school. And, a lot of just unfortunate things happened during those years, not just in school, but also, I just experienced so much rejection. And I think as a kid, to experience so much rejection and not really have any success, and also coming from having lots of success as a model and then suddenly nothing as an actor, um, it was very, very hard on me. And I ended up quitting acting for a few years. I went to university, went to business school. And funny enough, like I look back, but in business school, I would always say, oh, I'm just here to learn how to market myself. Because at the back of my mind, I still always wanted to be pursuing acting. I just was very fearful from all of the rejection I had experienced. And I went through a bit of a, 18-year-old depression, and it was very hard. And a lot of people talk about, all of the child actors that are successful, but a lot of people don't talk about all the child actors that had no success. And that was me. And how your child brain processes no success. It really took a toll. And I think after a few years of processing and rebuilding my confidence and self-esteem, I got to a place of, okay, I really do love this. I want to try again, but we're going to go slowly. So I got a non-union agent, did some, commercials, did some music videos, and slowly got to the point where I'm at now, where now I feel much more confident, and I'm very excited to be here and to be doing this all the time. But yeah, it was quite the journey of, I had a lot of blocks, I would say, getting back into it. And it took a while to get to this place. So technically, this acting got a second chance.
I
Yeah.
like that. It's so interesting. I've talked to a couple other people who were child actors and quit, or were, I don't want to say like forced out of the industry, or just like were just not enchanted with it anymore. And let me know if you felt this way, or there was something else going on. The idea of when you're a kid, everyone's like, you're so cute when you do literally anything. You're like, look at me, I'm sitting here on my stool. And they're like, she's natural. And then as soon as you hit a certain age, they're like, okay, you're not cute anymore. Like, you're not known for being your child self. Now you need to
Mm,
really, really work to
yeah.
be known. Was that
Mhm.
something you experienced?
A little bit. I think, because I was just always singing, dancing, and acting, my weekends and weekdays were full. If like from Sunday to Sunday, I was in dance class and singing and acting. So I didn't really experience life as a child. And I didn't really go to parties in my entire high school experience. I went to two parties. I didn't really have any close friends until I quit dance, which was in grade 11. Like so I think my experience was more that I hadn't really experienced life, and that is potentially what contributed to me not succeeding. That's kind of just what I thought. But yeah, I don't know. I think definitely certainly people, I mean, I grew up in the age where everything every kid did was rewarded. Like we all got a green ribbon, even if we didn't deserve it. So I think certainly that did come into play for sure. And I think the pressure of people always saying like, "Oh, I just know you're going to be a famous singer, actor, dancer." Like people would just always say that to me, and so I think you know that's nice to say that to someone, but it is a lot of pressure if you're not booking anything, if you're not
Mm.
seeing any success, and then suddenly you feel like you're not fulfilling what people think you should be fulfilling, and you're a failure not just to yourself but to everyone around you. And yeah, and I think I've done a lot of therapy in regards to this, and I think that even started when I was 12. Like it really started so early on. And yeah, that was my yeah.
And it's interesting because I wonder if there's a parallel between child actors retiring and say like athletes who retire, because you
Mm,
had a job before any of your peers had a job, and you're
yeah.
now retiring from your first act before your peers have even started thinking about what they're going to do for a living.
For sure.
you've basically lived a life without having your frontal lobe developed. Like how in the blue blazes are you supposed to function?
Yeah, that's why I was actually exhausted. I think
Oh,
like the depression came on not just because of the weight, but like I was just exhausted from always working and
mm,
not experiencing life and not really having any close friends and having a hard time connecting with people because of it, right?
mm,
I was very exhausted. And I remember over the years I've had acting friends, and one of them used to wonder if I even liked acting because I never wanted to take acting classes. And the reason being was because I had taken so many over the years that I was just so tired of them. Like,
mm,
and they're so expensive, let's be real, very expensive. And once you hit 21 and you're making your own money, you know, it's a lot of money to be spending on a class that you've taken 1,000 times before. And I truly
mm,
had been taking classes like every season. Like my mom really broke the bank for me to take these classes since from 12 to 19. Like it was a lot. It was a lot.
mm.
So I was definitely exhausted from overworked, being feeling
Yeah.
overworked. Yeah, for
What
sure.
was, tell me a little bit more, if you don't mind, your mental space, if you want to elaborate, your decision in the time from high school choosing to not go down the route of traditional theater school, acting school, and going to business school.
I think because I was honestly deeply sad. I'll share something with you that I haven't really shared with many people. But basically, it's the point that I quit. I was in a very dark place mentally. I was not in a great relationship. You know, there was a lot going on. But I will remember, and I'm very grateful for them for this, but the casting directors, Sarah, uh, Kay and Jenny Lewis,
Mm-hmm.
I had gone into audition for them, and they had noticed that I was looking quite like ill, and I was quite ill, and I had lost like a lot of weight. I must have been like 90 pounds, 5'6", like I was very thin, and they had talked to my agent that they were concerned, and my agent had. Of course, then talked to my mom, and then they said, you know, let's put a pause on this for a while. And I'm really grateful for them for having done that. And I've actually never auditioned for them since. At some point I would love to like thank them for that. But truly, I was just in such a dark place, and I needed to take a break, and I needed to do something else and experience life. And so I think I had a not so great experience at high school art school. You know, so I think that was also the main reason why I didn't pursue the arts in university. I think I needed to experience something else, and I needed to experience life. And I think that my brain at the time, my thinking was that I needed to just try something else and experience life like a normal person, because I just didn't feel normal, and I felt like I kind of missed out on normal, you know, teenage experiences. And
Mm.
so yeah, that was kind of why. And then as business school went on, because I did 4 years, I started to realize, oh wait, no, this is actually great. A lot of people don't go to business school to learn the business of acting, because this is a business, and learning how to market myself was very valuable that I still carry with me today and use. So yeah, in any case, that was kind of my thought process. And I just needed something
Yeah.
different. I needed to experience life. I needed to have boyfriends, you know, I needed to be a crazy kid for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Honestly,
Yeah.
I'm such a proponent of that. It's hard, I think. I mean, was there pressure from, I mean, obviously there's internal pressure, right? And I hear it from, and again, I'm going to make this allusion again to some of the professional athletes I've talked to, who they get pressure from not only themselves, but like their families being like, this is how this helps our family make a living, what you're doing. Like, did you feel pressure? Was it purely internal? Was there some external stressors? What was going on?
Yeah, I mean, there was not intentionally. My mom has like the biggest heart of gold. She's my biggest fan, that's for sure. She's so supportive. And but I would say that, you know, I didn't grow up well off by any means. And it was definitely it was definitely a struggle for me to do all these things. And she definitely did break the bank for me. And yeah, I think that we would discuss like, oh, like when I book this, we'll buy like a big house with a swimming pool. And like, we were just dreaming together, but my child brain took that on as a responsibility that I needed to fulfill that. And I still honestly feel that way to this day. Like I still am like, oh, I just like want to be successful so I can help my mom. And like, even though it's a great thing, and I think, most people probably feel that way. They want to be able to give back to their families. I do think that I did feel that in a heavier way growing up, for sure. I definitely did feel the weight of like, oh, like this one commercial, because back in the day, commercials paid a lot more than they do now. But this one commercial that would have paid me $20,000 that my friend just made, that's life changing for my family. So yeah, there definitely was some, but definitely not intentional for sure. And yeah.
Tell me about when you were finishing up business school and thinking, I kind of want to get back into this acting thing.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, singing, acting, dancing.
Yes. Crush it. Triple threat.
It's so funny because I will watch home videos and people will say like, oh, you're an actor, singer, actor, dancer. Like, it's just so funny. I just, I grew up in the time of Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, Mickey Mouse Club kids, and they sang, they danced, and they acted. So that was just, I think everybody at that time did. And so, yeah. So in any case, I remember being in school and yeah, like I said, I was constantly saying like, I'm in school to learn how to market myself so that I could, market myself on my own as an actor or whatever. And I would say that, but I wasn't fully ready to jump back into it. And then I don't really remember I don't remember the moment in time that I suddenly just started doing it. I think I went and got headshot and then I just started doing it. And I slowly became less fearful. Yeah, that was kind of like the moment where I was like, okay, yes, okay, I could do this. Okay. And then the journey just started from there, really.
So what does life look like for you now?
Yeah, so I would say my actual second act is writing, and that is what I have been actively pursuing alongside acting for the last while. So I have a writing duo business. It's called Camp Sunshine, and my writing partner is Vegan de Cordova, and she's also an actress. And yeah, before the pandemic in 2019, we would get together and do scenes together and just practice. And then when the pandemic hit, we just started thinking of, okay, how can we book gigs? Because if the gigs are being booked, we got to figure out another way to book gigs. Okay, well, we can write our own characters. Let's try that. And we got this idea to write an MOW, and we ended up selling the rights to it, which was really cool. That was kind of our first success. And yeah, that was actually really cool. Nothing came of it, but it was really cool that we had that experience. But yeah, suddenly as we continued to write and just kind of show up and, work at it, we discovered how much we really love writing. And it's just funny because one day I had this idea to make a list of all of my favorite movies over the years or movies that had inspired me. And the common denominator was that all the main characters were writers. And and then I just reflected on the fact that I've always had a journal and I always used to write stories and songs and I just have always been writing. I was one of those people that had a blog. I counted over 500 different blogs over the years. And so it just didn't occur to me because I had this block of always feeling like I wasn't smart enough. And so I, would always put people on a pedestal that were more elegant with how they talked or just were more confident. And I just, struggled with my self-esteem, like I said. And yeah, I just didn't think that I was smart enough. So I never considered writing as a possibility for me. And having Vegan with me on this journey, I think my confidence started to grow. And yeah, that's kind of my biggest exciting thing happening to me right now. So her and I are just kind of writing TV and movies and trying to sell them, and trying to see if we can write in characters for ourselves, and who knows what's going to come of it, but we're having so much fun, and we're doing it. So
That's awesome. Are you
yeah.
doing that along with acting as well too? Because doing both together?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, um, yeah. I mean, we've written a TV show pilot right now. It's a comedy, and it actually would involve British people. So I don't think we would necessarily be able to act in it. And it's funny because we wrote it and we realized, oh, you know what? Like, it wouldn't serve the characters for us to act in it. So we
Mm.
are detached from it, but we're just really excited about that. But definitely the MOWs, I would love to be able to, of course, act in them if I can. Um, but yeah, I mean, we've been playing with different ideas, such as making a YouTube web series and just making something very low budget and we can act in it together. But yeah, there's a lot of things in the works. It's just, yeah, one day at a time.
That's so
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah.
Do you notice, has like since you've re-entered back into this crazy business, has there been anything that has surprised you or really changed since when you were a kid?
Yeah. Well, certainly the pay is much different nowadays.
Ah, interesting.
Yes. Yeah. It used to make a lot more for commercials or music videos for sure. There was a lot more that was ACTRA and not non-union as well, of course. I think that has changed a lot. I would say though, my perception on the industry has changed a lot. So when I was young, I really did fall for that idea of, once you book something, suddenly life is going to change, and you're going to have all the money, and you're going to be so happy, and you're going to get all the jobs. And of course, as you are in the industry for a while, you realize, well, that's not necessarily the case. I have a lot of friends that have booked great series and then haven't really booked much since, or there's like a long period in between, and that's just kind of how it is. And I do think that that's just a false perception that's been given to us through movies and whatnot. And yeah, and that's definitely different. But yeah, I'm wondering if there's anything else. A lot has changed since I was young,
Hmm.
that's for
Yeah.
sure.
It's so funny because I think about how you got discovered is why I think a lot of people, two things. One, think that this industry is easy. And I'm not saying that you had it easy at all.
Hmm.
It's easy and that quote unquote anyone can do it because there are stories like yours of people being literally plucked out of obscurity
Hmm.
and put into whatever. You don't
Right.
need a degree on the wall to say I'm an actor, I'm a model, I'm a singer, I'm a dancer. And so, like, for you to have that experience, do you find now, is it kind of like, is it less sparkly?
For sure. Well, that definitely took a toll on my
Yeah.
perception of it because I had so much success with modeling and then suddenly nothing with acting. And yeah, and modeling jobs I think a there's just a lot more opportunity. At least that was my experience. And maybe, I mean, that also could have been back then as well. Like, I don't know, maybe things have changed. I haven't modeled in a very, very long time. But yeah, and then with acting, it's just not the same. And I haven't had the same experience of booking things all the time, so my
Mhm.
perception definitely has changed, but it's fine.
Do you notice, has there been anything that you learned when you were a kid that you've now kept and have continued into this now? Oh, it's the adult entertainment industry. Janet! You know what I mean.
you know
It's Monday.
Totally, it totally is.
Oh,
Honestly,
Lord.
my brain, I feel like I'm still kind of waking up, so I'm with you. Oh boy. I would say that something that I learned, at least about myself, is that I am very resilient. And
Mm.
yeah, I had a very intense and just yeah, she was a great dance coach when I was growing up, and she really pushed me she pushed me quite hard, and we had a lot of really good discussions. Sometimes she would drive me home to help my mom out, and yeah, she was a someone that I really looked up to, and she was such a hard worker. And yeah, I think that I definitely wanted to be like her. And so I pushed myself, and yeah, and I think that I've carried that into adulthood. I think that I've learned that I'm quite resilient, and it takes a lot to be able to continue to do this. You
Mm.
have to really, I think you have to really love it, and you have to be okay with the high risk of this industry, and
Mm.
also not necessarily value money. I think that, like, yeah, people just get the wrong perception of it. And you know um probably one of the things that I would say to anyone if they were getting into acting is that, you need to really decide what you value. And if you value money, or if you value security, or if you value stability, sorry, and I guess security, yeah, if you value stability, then it may not be the right industry to get into. So it's very high risk. And like, not to say that you couldn't potentially make a lot of money. It's You certainly could. There's definitely people that do, but it's just high risk, that's all. So
Mm. Yeah. It's funny you just answered my question, but I'm wondering if you have any more advice for people who are either interested in coming back into this career or getting started later on in life.
later on in life. Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, in regards to, like, if this is someone younger listening, I don't know if I would recommend art school. Not that I'll tell you why. Not that it's not like a wonderful experience to be able to perform and to work on your craft. Absolutely. I just think that the child brain, like, it's very sensitive, and
Mm.
I think we have to be careful, and it depends on the child. But I think that some kids can't necessarily take tons of rejection, or need to be
Right.
worked up to a point, and I was that kid. So yeah, so that's what I mean. And not that I would say don't go into it. I certainly feel like everyone needs to have their own experience. But yeah, for someone later on in life getting into it, man, I mean, why not? You have one life to live, right? Like, if you and I mean, if you don't even know if you want to get into it, I would say just take a class and
Mm.
see if if you think it's fun. I think a lot of people start out with taking a class at that comedy theater downtown. I'm staying with Second City.
Sweet. That's where I
Yeah.
started.
There you go. Yeah. See, a lot of people start out there. I remember when I was a kid, my dad took a stand-up comedy class there, and he's so fun because he would come home and do the improv classes with me, and yeah, it was just such a lovely time. But in any case, yeah. So I think people will take classes there, and I think if you take a class, then you'll figure out whether you like it or not, and then if you do, then go for it. Why not? Right? Just, I would say, don't quit your day job. I would say, make sure that you're not going, and make sure you can cover your bills, of course, and know that it's a journey. It's not something that happens overnight. And I think you have to certainly recognize that it takes time to build a skill. Because if you're getting into
Mm.
acting, like, it's a skill like anything else, and you have to work at it to get better and better. And I would say, take as many classes as you can. Um, but yeah, I would say that make sure that you don't just jump in with this idea that, you'll book something and then your finances will be covered. I think that that's not necessarily realistic. Not that it's not possible.
Yes. So, something that you touched on earlier that I don't think I've ever talked about in this podcast before is the idea of like class burnout, like taking so many acting classes because we are told, like literally what you said, and it's true still. Take classes, see if you like it. But I know I definitely have experienced the idea of I've just been in class so often. And I think a sign of my burnout is the fact that I'm like, I'm not learning anything new. I mean, obviously, there are new things to learn in every life experience, blah, blah, blah. But like, evidence of my burnout is me sitting in class being like, I'm not learning anything. I've done this before. Talk to me more about, because I know you and I saw each other in an acting class together recently ish. Um, what was what are acting classes like for you now?
Yeah. So it's interesting. So I loved that class that we took. That was the teacher, Jacob. What's his
Mhm.
last name? Jacob.
Oh, he's in all the Hallmark movies. He's
He
so
is.
great.
And yeah, he's so handsome too. He's just like he's just lovely as a
Can I just
person. I
I
love
need to
him.
say, because I'm like that, all that class is flooding back. You did a scene, and I know I'm interrupting your train of thought here because I want to know the answer to your question. You did a scene where you were wearing this you were like an actor like auditioning for like a horror film or something. Do you remember that? I,
Yes.
you were so good, so so good. Oh my god.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's probably my favorite character that I've done ever.
oh.
That was just so much fun. Okay, so I have to tell you, throughout that whole class, I think because I had spent a bunch of years not taking classes, like I
Mhm,
had really taken a break, that
mhm,
when I got into that class, I really felt like I had my mojo back and I was
mhm.
really just enjoying it. And he's honestly just such a great teacher. I
Yeah.
really love, I've gone to him a couple times privately. Like he's just, which is why I'm hating myself right now for forgetting his last name. Jacob something from Dean Armstrong's acting studio. Anyways, he's just such a great teacher and I really resonate with his teaching style. But yeah, I was just feeling so much better and I was watching The Office for the first time. I was a late bloomer to that one. So I was just so inspired and
Mm,
yeah, and I remember preparing for that role for that class. I watched like probably 20 episodes of Fran Drescher's show, The Nanny, so that I
oh.
could master her accent because that role required the accent. It was just so much fun. But yeah, I think just over the years, I've experienced what you experienced. I took so many classes that I was just so tired and I just didn't want to be there. And then I started resenting, classes
Mm.
because also people don't realize that with acting, the input doesn't necessarily equal the output. So it doesn't matter, right? Doesn't matter how much work you put into it behind the scenes. It doesn't mean that you're going to book anything. You may never book
Mhm,
anything. And so
mm.
I think like when I was a kid, I was told like keep taking classes, then you'll book things. And it's like that wasn't happening. So I started to feel resentful about classes and I hate them. And yeah, and I will never forget this though. I remember this was right before I ended up quitting. I was at Armstrong Acting Studio and I had like a mega breakdown before one of our final assessments and I just couldn't stop crying and I just was just so tired. I think I had a dance competition maybe like the day before. Something was going on. But I was just so exhausted. I just didn't want to be there. And yeah, and I think it's important that we tune in and, check ourselves and make sure that we recognize that it's okay to just not take class for a while if you are feeling that way because it should never be that. Like you want to take classes and you want to be there, you want to be able to get something from it. It's a lot of money. Let's be real.
Yeah.
So, if you're going to take a class, you want to make sure that you're able to actually be present and learn something. And if you're just not at that place, then it's okay. Because again, the input doesn't necessarily equal the output. Don't make yourself feel like you have to be taking them.
Mm.
Take them because you want to be taking them and you want to learn.
Something
So,
that I really clocked you in that class, and I think also paired with the instructor that we had, was just pure joy. Like, do you think you found the joy again?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
I
was
think
so obvious.
Yeah, I think I was playing again, and I just had at that point, so yeah, at that point, I didn't have an agent. I was kind of in between agents. And I had just come off of the high of hosting Cricket Live, the game show, for 2.5 years. So I hosted that
Mm,
for a few years. And then I didn't have an agent anymore. I didn't have this game show to host anymore. And I was kind of just in this in between phase. And COVID was happening. I think this was 2020. I think this was like fall
Yeah,
2020
I
because
think
I
you're
had
right.
just
Yeah.
moved into this house that I'm in now. But anyways, yeah, I think I just had time to really start to love it again. I started doing TikToks and it was then, everyone was at home, so I was just doing TikToks with everyone else and I started to love just creating a character, playing God again. I like to say that because
Mm.
that's one of the things that I like about acting and writing. It's, you're creating a person and you get to decide how they think and yeah, you're building and it's really fun. And so yeah, I definitely did find the joy again in that class.
Do you have any favorite moments from times on set or funny moments?
Yeah. So I mentioned earlier that I used to be a competitive dancer. And so this isn't on set, but this was, I was doing a show. And so I did a lot of theater as a kid. And so my dance teacher, again, I had a really good connection with her. I was actually quite sad when I quit dance because I didn't even say goodbye. I was just really devastated about the decision and I just couldn't
Mm.
bring myself to say goodbye to anyone. So I just actually ghosted everyone and just left. It's so, I look back and I'm like, oh, that's so
You
sad.
gotta do it sometimes.
And well, I was just a kid processing everything and I was just in a bad place. So in any case, I really loved that teacher and we really connected and she pushed me to just do the craziest things. So for example, I would compete doing a musical theater number and this one that stands out to me, I played an angel and I was trying to bring this awkward couple together. And the angel had a very big personality, similar to the Fran Drescher role that I played in that acting class. But she had a very big personality, just very like sassy and silly. And anyways, my teacher was like, "Here, take the mic and go out to the audience." And so I just literally took the mic before this number even started, went out to the audience, and just started like cracking jokes and just talking to people as this character. And it was just the best thing ever, and people were I will never forget, like, the laughter, and thankfully, I also have it on tape to rewatch that moment, but it was just so much fun, and then I remember I got back on stage right before the number started, and she was like, "Here, jump on this," and I just, like, jumped on this giant stuffed giraffe, like, this stuffed animal giraffe, and I just rode it across the stage. It made no sense. It was so silly. But like, it was so funny, and the laughter, like, I can still hear it in my head. It was just such a beautiful moment for my confidence, for just yeah, it was just a beautiful moment, and, it's so funny to look back on the silly things that I did, but she really trusted me, honestly, to give I think it was 14, to give a 14-year-old a mic and just trust them to do something, out in the audience, like, that's so cool. So yeah, anyways, it was a really good moment and yeah, that was definitely a favorite memory of mine
Oh, I
for
love
sure.
that.
Yeah.
Oh. What would you say your parents, loved ones, guardians, what would they say you do for a living now? Actor, singer, dancer?
Singer to dancer. Yep.
Singer, actor, dancer?
Yeah. In that
You're sad.
order. No.
Oh my God, you're sad. Singer, actor, dancer. I've heard of model, actor, whatever, model, actor, whatever. But singer, actor,
Oh.
dancer? Mm.
Yes, they would definitely say performer, singer, actor, dancer for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it- I think they would probably also throw in marketing enthusiast. I worked at a marketing agency for a little bit. I love marketing, and so I didn't just go to business school just because I also had an interest in it, of course. But yeah, I love marketing and I love kind of combining them. And I'm currently working on this idea of creating custom voice ads for small business owners that maybe can't afford like a big budget ad.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I'm just kind of experimenting with that. And then so it gets me to be in my marketing brain of how I can, reach these people to possibly do an exchange. And yeah, anyways, I would say they would definitely say performer and businesswoman, entrepreneur.
I like it. I like it. You had mentioned some of your writing projects that you have coming up. Is there anything else you're looking forward to coming up in 2024?
Okay, I've seen a trend recently of these small soap opera like shows on TikTok. I'm seeing them being marketed and on Facebook. So basically, they're like 9 to 10 minute short episodes of a show or a movie. I don't know if you've seen this, but I've
No.
seen this like a lot recently, and I've seen a lot of auditions for it on Casting Workbook, and it's all ACTRA. And I am really excited about this because they are creating so many more opportunities for people to act, and also people with not as many credits as, say, like somebody that was on Degrassi or whatever. And
Mm.
the opportunity of this is fascinating and so exciting to me. And yeah, I'm really excited about it. And I will possibly be trying to get in there on the writing side and the acting side. So that's something I'm pursuing and looking into and excited about. Certainly for myself, but also just for the industry. I love the idea of more potential jobs being created for us. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I'm gonna have to take a look into that.
Yeah.
Anything that amplifies Canadians. Oh my gosh.
For sure. That's well, and I'm also seeing a lot of so because I am submitting on the writing end, I am seeing a lot of production studios. They're looking for Canadian content. They're looking for Canadian stories, which is really cool. Yeah, yeah. I'm seeing quite a lot of production studios asking for that, and that really does actually align with something that Keegan and I are creating, so that works for us. But yeah, I love that. I love that. I think there's also a lot of Canadian grants too
Mm.
that have popped up in the last couple of years, so there's definitely incentive there. So that's exciting. It's exciting to see more Canadian content and opportunities for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have
Yeah.
any final words of wisdom or advice?
Ooh. For I guess people getting into the industry or just
Anything.
Jimmy, anything. Oh
No
my goodness.
pressure.
Let me think about this for a second. Well, I mean, certainly I would say for people getting into it, do it if you love it.
Yeah.
That's, if you love it, why not? I would say go for it, pursue it. Um, Assess what you value. Like I said, I think that's important. And if it aligns with what you value, hell yeah, it's very rewarding to pursue something that you love. And I do feel very grateful that I'm able to do that. So definitely that. Okay, so there is a quote by Napoleon Hill, and it's from the book Think and Grow Rich. And it's my favorite quote of all time. And I think it's just, yeah, it's the best quote ever. I know I'm already really setting the ground. Okay, anyways, sorry. Let's edit that out as I stumble on my words. Okay, I'll start again. Okay, so there is a quote by, not, blah, blah. Okay, so there is a quote by Napoleon Hill from the book Think and Grow Rich that I love so much and I just think is filled with wisdom. So I will leave you with this. If you think you are beaten, you are. If you think you dare not, you don't. If you like to win, but you think you can't, it is almost certain you won't. If you think you'll lose, you're lost. For out in this world we find success begins with a fellow's will. It's all in a state of mind. If you think you are outclassed, you are. You've got to think high to rise. You've got to be sure of yourself before you can ever win a prize. Life's battles don't always go to the stronger or faster man, but soon or late, the man who wins is the man who thinks he can.
Oh,
It's my favorite quote, and it's gotten me through all of the dark times.
oh my
And
gosh.
yeah, just wanted to share.
That is so beautiful.
Thank you everyone for tuning in, and thank you, Melissa, for being my guest this week. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to chat with me and tell me all about your beautiful journey to this crazy life that you are now living. The discovery of, should I still be an actor? Yes, I still want to be an actor. And the journey it took you to get here. You are an absolute joy and a treasure. Everyone go follow Melissa. She's got some incredible projects coming down the line. Honestly, go follow her just for the sheer delight of seeing her playing Anna. She's a Disney princess. She plays Anna all the time. She's a beautiful singer, and just it brings me so much joy whenever I see her playing Anna pop up on my social media feed. Oh, such a gem. I hope you all tune in next week for another episode of Second Act Actors. Bye.